Hello everyone, welcome to my kitchen. My name is Michael and today I'm going to be making a pear cardamom upside down cake. So let's get started with the few ingredients that I've got here. First, I've got a 9-inch springform pan and I've got that buttered right now. So what I did is I cut out a piece of parchment paper in the bottom. Even though this is a non-stick pan that I've got here, I still put the parchment paper in the bottom. That just makes it come out a little bit easier. And then I've taken some butter and put around the outside and put some butter on top of the paper just to make that a little bit easier. So definitely do that if you want to. If you've got cooking spray, you can definitely spray that on it as well. I just use butter on the inside of mine to make it just a little bit easier for that to release on that. Now let's get started making the caramel that's going to go in the bottom of our springform pan, or as when we turn it upside down, it'll be on the top. It's really easy to make. I've got a saucepan here, and I'm going to go ahead and get that turned on now to warm that up a little bit. I'll put that up on about a medium. And then I've got some butter here. I'll put the full recipe in the description box below, so definitely check that out for that full recipe. So I've got some unsalted butter here, and I'm just going to put that in the bottom of our pan. And I've got some light brown sugar. I'm going to go ahead and put that in now also. And lastly, I've got the cardamom, and I'm going to go ahead and put that on the top right now. That's going to add such great flavor to this pear upside down cake. I know you're going to love this recipe. So I'm going to let that heat up just a little bit there, and we're going to get started making this caramel. This is only going to take a couple of minutes to do this, so you don't want to leave this once this gets started and get the pan heated up. It'll take about 2 minutes for that to actually do what it's going to do. So I'm going to show you what this looks like in just a second as it starts its process. As you can see, my ingredients now are heating up. Now, this didn't take very long at all for this to get to this consistency where we're at. So definitely we want to make sure that we get all of that sugar melted together and that butter in there with that and that cardamom. And it should take, like I say, about 2 minutes for that. We don't want to cook it too long, just enough to make sure that all the sugar and the butter and everything has worked together. All right, I've got that nice caramel made now. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off, and I'm going to take my springform pan that I got here. And you need to work pretty quickly because this will harden up and set on you pretty fast. So I'm going to go ahead and put this into this bottom of this pan and just kind of spread it around just a little bit there. I'm just going to take this spatula. We can do that. Might take the back of this spoon here, and we just want to work that around on the bottom of that just to make sure we get an even coating of our caramel on the bottom. All right, we've got our caramel now at the bottom of our springform pan. I'm going to set this to the side, and we're going to start working on our pears now. Depending on how big your pears are, you might need 2 or 3, just put in the bottom of them. I'm going to go ahead and show you what we're going to do here with these. I'm going to cut the top of them off and the bottom. And I've got a vegetable peeler here. I'm going to peel the skin off of them. All right, now that I've got my first pear peeled, I'm going to go ahead and cut that in half. And I've got one of these little tools that I use on my strawberries, but you can definitely take this and just stick this down in here and pull that core right out of there. You can use your knife. It's just as easy as that to pull that out of there. And then we're going to do that to the other side here. Now I'm going to bring my pan back, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this with the big side toward the outside here, just like that. And we're just going to kind of go around the outside with it until we get the bottom of our pan covered up. I am back, and I've got all of my pears now in my springform pan. I wanted to show you what the design of that looked like there. So I did use 4½ of them, and I got 1/2 of this one here, and I'm going to eat this one in just a minute. I'm going to go ahead and get set up now, and we'll start working on our other ingredients for the rest of our cake. Now let's get started making the batter for our cake now. So I've got some butter here, and this is unsalted butter, and I've got this at room temperature. You want to make sure you get this at room temperature so that it will cream together really nicely with your sugar. So I'm going to go ahead and add that into my bowl here for my stand mixer. And then I've got some sugar here. I'll add that in next. And like I said earlier, I'll put the full recipe in the description box so you'll have that. Now I've got some self-rising flour, and we'll add that in. Now I've got almond flour. So this is actually almond flour that I purchased in the store, but if you've got some almonds, you can definitely use your food processor and grind those up to make your almond flour. So now I'm going to add my almond flour in. And with the almond flour, because it doesn't have any leaven or anything like the self-rising flour does, I've got some baking powder here, and I'm going to add that in. Now I've got 4 large eggs. Those are at room temperature as well. You want those to be at room temperature. I'm going to crack these into this bowl, make sure that I've got 4 good ones here, and then we'll add that into the bowl with the other ingredients. All right, that was the last of my eggs. Those looked really good now. All right, so now we're going to zest some oranges. I've got 3 oranges here that I've given a good wash. These are organic oranges. If you don't have those, just make sure you clean those really well. And I'm going to go ahead and zest these And we want about 2 to 3 tablespoons of our orange zest here. All right, I've got the zest of my orange now, and I'm just going to go ahead and pop that into my batter. I'm going to put my bowl back on my stand mixer, and I'm going to use my paddle that I've got here inside of that. This is going to take me maybe 2 minutes to blend this together. We'll start out on low so we don't get that puff of flour in the air all in our face. All right, that's been mixing for about 1 minute now, and I'm going to scrape down the side of my bowl to make sure that we get all of those ingredients mixed together. You can tell by looking at this, this is going to be a really nice batter for our pear upside down cake. All right, let's turn this back on and do for another minute. All right, that looks really good now. I'm going to take this apart and we'll put our batter in over our pears. Let's clean off this paddle because we want to make sure we get all of that off of there. We want all of that goodness coming out of that. And that citrus in this smells absolutely refreshing. It's going to add such a nice, refreshing taste to your cake. I know you're going to love it. Now, we don't want to disturb our pears because we've got that nicely set down into that caramel down there. So I'm going to gently spread this around over the top of them there and give it a nice mix around so that we get that batter over all of our pears. And we'll just take the side of our spatula here and just move that batter around over the top of the pears until we get that evenly spaced around. All right, I've got my batter now over my pears, and I'm just going to take a pan here and put that underneath the bottom of my springform pan just in case. We definitely don't want any of that. If there's any going to leak out of the bottom, we don't want to have to clean that oven up. So definitely put that on this if you want to. You don't have to if you don't want to. I like it also. It adds an extra layer there between the bottom of the cake so that it doesn't get really brown on the bottom and it cooks evenly throughout the way through. So I've got my oven heated now to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, or that's about 180 degrees Celsius. And I'm going to cook this between 50 minutes to 1 hour. We'll test it with that skewer. I'm going to come in about halfway, turn the pan around so that it bakes evenly on both sides. And we'll test it and I'll let you see what it looks like when it comes out. Definitely keep a watch on it. Everybody's oven cooks a little differently, so 50 minutes to 1 hour. I'll see you back when this is done. I am back and my pear cardamom upside down cake is done. It did take 50 minutes on my oven tonight, and I just used one of these skewers and tested it. It did come out clean when it came out. So now we're going to let this sit for about 10 minutes. And you'll be able to tell when it starts pulling away from the sides. If it doesn't want to do that, you can take a knife and run it around the side. You don't want to leave it in there any longer than that because the caramel in the bottom will be very difficult to get off the bottom of the pan if we don't pull that out of there in about 10 minutes. So let this cool down for about 10 minutes, and then we will come back and take the top off of the springform pan here to let you see what it looks like. It's been about 10 minutes now, and I'm going to go ahead and release this spring here on the springform pan, and we'll take the outside ring off and take a look at our cake. All right, I've got the band off of my cake now, and I did use the offset spatula here, just kind of run around the outside of it there just in case it hadn't released anything. And now I'm going to put this on a cake pan. We'll turn this over and take a look and see what we've got. All right, I've got it turned upside down now. It was a good thing that I did put this tray into the bottom of it. I did have a little bit of brown out on the bottom, so definitely do that. We'll keep that oven clean. All right, now we're going to take this offset spatula. And the reason we put that paper under there is we want to try to get up under that now and see if we can't raise that up. All right, I'm going to grab me one of these pot holders because this is still really hot. And we'll take this offset spatula again. If you've got a knife, use that. And we'll lift this up like this. There we go. We've got our pear cardamom upside down cake. I'm going to let this cool down a little bit, and then we'll come back and give this a taste test. Let's try this delicious pear cardamom upside down cake. It smells absolutely delicious. I've got me a nice slice here. And look how pretty that is. You can see that zest and that orange is coming through on the side there. This is really nice and it smells delicious. Let's give it a taste. Those pears are cooked just right. Look how that fork went right through that pear. It's done to perfection. Let's try it. That is absolutely delicious. That cardamom is coming through, those pears. A little bit of that citrus from that zest that we had in there. All those combinations and that flavor, just the right amount of sugar, make this an absolutely delicious piece of cake. I know you're going to love this recipe. Give it a try. Leave me a comment in the comment section what you think about it. If you've ever made one of these before, definitely leave me a comment and tell me what you did anything different with it. And if this is your first time making it, I definitely want to hear what you think about it. If you like this content, maybe you might consider giving me a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. And while you're at it, maybe you might want to check out one of these other 2 videos over here on the side. You might find something else you like. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you in my next video. Give this recipe a try. It is a winner. Bye-bye now.